In a world where businesses everywhere are trying to make print-on-demand sales, one podcast goes above and beyond every week to bring the most POD-specific information there is, all to help save the day, every day. Don't succumb to the enemies of your print-on-demand business. Sign up today for the Print On Demand Cast VIP email at printondemandcast.com/VIP. This time, it's for real.
Welcome back to the Print On Demand Cast. This week's episode, we're talking about the 4 personality types of POD entrepreneurs. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Print On Demand Cast. So happy you're here for your POD cast news, entertainment, some dad jokes, and everything in between. Listen, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, do me a favor, whatever you're listening to this on, whatever platform you're on, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. Leave a review as well. It'd be super, super beneficial. We'd very much appreciate it. So take the time and do that right now. If you want, press pause, do that, come back, do it after. Just be sure to do that for us. And again, we'd be super appreciative. Joining me in this episode, as with every episode since day one, Travis Ross. Travis, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. Another week, another episode. How's things going for you, man? How has your week been so far?
Pretty good, I guess. I mean, it's we're right in the thick of it. So orders are coming in hot and heavy. Having a lot of communication with our vendor saying, hey, what's going on with this order that is late, or hey, why isn't this one in production yet? And talking to my VAs about, if everything's not correct when it tries to pass the information to Guten, it doesn't work. And so we just have to keep an eye on, our order desk and just making sure that everything's going through and all that. I mean, it hasn't been super difficult. It's been pretty seamless for the most part, aside from a few late orders that one of the vendors in Guten had an issue with their mugs. And I don't know if your father-in-law Jason was telling you about this, because Jason's actually using us. He's using our integration with Guten to get better pricing, basically. Okay. And he was like, hey, why are these taking forever? I'm like, I know, trust me. I have a lot of these, I have a lot of these conversations with these guys. So it turned out that one of their vendors had like a software issue right before, thank goodness it was before Black Friday. So they got it all ironed out. It's a lot more, a lot smoother now, but still, it's Q4, and if it can break, it probably will. That's just the way it works.
Exactly. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, we're here again. We have the point of interest part of this show. This episode's not going to have a point of interest because there's so much to get to in the main event that we really want to make sure that we cover everything as in depth as possible. We will have a point of interest next week, and also at the end of the year, we're going to cover our Spotify Wrapped. We did that last year. This year. Equally as crazy to see the numbers and statistics that came across from Spotify Wrapped in terms of, top fans and where we're, what countries we're listening to and how many minutes, all that kind of stuff was super, super awesome to see. And it was, it felt nice. I mean, we talk about that sometimes where it's like, hey, it's nice. It feels good to know that we're loved, I suppose. Yeah. So, but yeah, super cool. So we'll get to that as well next week. So right now, though, at the top of the show, what we will do is, I mentioned if you're listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, like, subscribe, leave a review. We have a review that we're going to shout out right now. Just came across the wire on the 30th of November. So this is fresh. This is new and super exciting to see. So I'm going to share this window here real quick, and we're going to read this review from JMS Robbins, which JMS is my initials. So shout out to you for that as well, JMS Robbins, for completely coincidental additional brownie points. But it says 5 stars and 2 thumbs up. If you're serious about learning POD, then you'll want to follow the Print on Demand cast. These guys will not only keep a smile on your face with their antics, but you'll get taken to school with their hold nothing back discussions about all things print on demand, up to and including sharing their own mistakes so that we don't make them too. Stand up 5-star show. So, man, that's incredible. Thank you so much, JMS Robbins, for those kind words. Travis, your thoughts on exactly, it was awesome. Your thoughts on JMS Robbins' review?
No, it's really cool. I mean, we try to hold nothing back and tell you the real deal. And I think it's easy to gloss over the pain points because we don't want to talk about them. Really, we don't want to deal with them. But
they're not sexy,
they're real.
Yeah, dealing with the pain
exactly.
points. It's not. You're not going to see them as a keynote, address at some really fancy conference. It's just not what you're going to see. But we're transparent.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Doesn't get as many Google searches as
exactly.
Like last week's title, how to make more money with your print on demand business. It's like, yes, I want to listen to that one. Not I lost my production facility. You know.
I lost the shirt off my back printing t-shirts. So
yeah, exactly.
You don't want to read those types of articles.
Not as fun.
But yeah, not as fun. But when you're in that moment, when you need them, it's definitely comforting to know that everyone's been in one of those moments, so there's definitely a rebound effect. There's definitely coming back and reinventing yourself. So again, JMS Robbins, thank you so much for those kind words. If you guys have a review as well, for those listening, please post the review. We would love to shout it out. Love to hear your feedback. Really, it's just good to hear your feedback. Travis and I don't often get to interact with many of the listeners, unless it's like on Facebook. So anyway, we get to hear from you or interact with you. It would be, we love it. It'd be great. So be sure to do that as well. So yeah, let's get right into the main event this week, the 4 personality types of POD entrepreneurs. And before we do that, we are of course going to throw to an arbitrary bumper because it's the Print on Demand cast. So there we go. This week's main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event.
So looking over the show notes, Travis, this afternoon, even before we pressed record here, it's kind of like we're like one of those shows like FBI profilers. You know what I mean? Like just kind of like the personality types. We've got 4, and we're going to break down the symptoms, the key symptoms, the defining traits of each of these 4 personality types, and then we're going to get into next steps for each personality type. So. Right. Starting off the top of the list, Travis, we have the curious. So for those listening, define and give key symptoms to who the curious would be.
Sure. Yeah. So to start off, the curious are kind of you're just exploring, you're just exploring print on demand. It's something that you heard about, you're intrigued by it, you're excited about it, but you're not quite, you're still on the fence a little bit. So the key system or symptoms is that you're feeling the FOMO. You're feeling that fear of missing out. You hear other people, doing all these sales. You're listening to the podcast and you're like, man, Travis has got all these listings and oh man, if only I blah, blah, blah. You have a fear of missing out. And then the other thing that you probably can identify with if you're in this category is you have some level of perfectionism in you, and it's really probably keeping you from actually starting and actually doing and actually pushing through that, because you just want to make sure that it's totally right before you do anything. And then another symptom would be you've got all of these tools at your disposal, or everybody's talking about, well, it's E-Rank, well, it's Everbee, or it's Sales Samurai or whatever. And there's all these different tools and you feel like you have to know all of the ins and outs of them so you can make the best decision. And you're just frustrated with so much information coming at you that you can't disseminate to actually make a decision. So there's just a lot of frustration that's holding you back from actually moving forward in your print on demand business.
Yeah. And then there's some defining traits as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
One would be there's no live print on demand listings yet on any platforms, which maybe goes to that level of perfectionism or that frustration of you just not actually getting any forward momentum. We've called it from time to time analysis paralysis, which is then another defining trait of spending time researching the business models, the tools, the requirement, like all of that stuff. I mean, if you listen to the PODcast, watch a ton of YouTube videos, and you read about different research tools, like you're just ingesting everything. You're just like going to every possible POD information buffet that's out there on the internet and just going for seconds and thirds. But there's no like forward momentum quite yet. So you may have created trial accounts like Etsy, Redbubble, Cafe Press, kind of getting your feet wet, maybe trying to figure some things out, what you like, what you don't like, but there's no revenue yet. But you're intrigued at the idea of passive income that print on demand can provide you.
Yeah. So if that's you, don't give up all hope. Later in the show, we are going to talk about how to move from one personality type to another personality type. And the reason we're trying to define these is because we really, I've just really been challenged to think through, like, who are the people that are listening to this and how can we help those specific people? And what I've realized is that we have all kinds of different people listening. There are people that have not started. There are people that are doing really well. There are people that do their own production. There are people that don't want to touch production with the 10-foot pole. And so trying to identify these different, people, these different personality types, I guess, I really think will help us help you move through kind of these stages of a business and hopefully get to kind of that blue ocean, experience of just an amazing organized, structured business that you can kind of run on. It can maybe even replace your income. You don't have to maybe even spend all the time in the world on it because you've got help with those things and you figured those things out. How do you get from on the fence, can't even make a decision about which Etsy research tool to get to having replace your income? How do you get from there? Well, it's not an overnight thing at all. I've been in this business. We've both been in this business since, 2014, 2015, been printing for, years now. And it is not an overnight thing. We've learned had a lot of pain points. So I guess I'm saying all of this specifically to you, the curious. So you're not discouraged and you don't turn the podcast off. That's probably why. But and we'll talk about that towards in the second half of the main event.
Yeah, for sure. Number 2 would be the rookies. These are our new print on demand sellers that just started their journey, right? So some key symptoms before I throw to Travis for the defining traits. So key symptoms would be you've got between maybe 10 to 100 live print on demand listings or products. Maybe it's like tier 1 on merch on demand is kind of where you're sitting, or maybe you're on other platforms and you have a number somewhere in that range of products that you're offering. You are frustrated at the slow growth. You're wanting maybe to see more results than what you're currently seeing right now. Just because maybe you are finally the person that moved from the curious to the rookie, which, obviously this is the common progression that someone who's getting into the business will find. So, maybe you're frustrated because it's not growing at the speed at which you had hoped it would when you actually started putting all this knowledge to use and taking steps. You're feeling the pressure of creating more listings. You feel like you need to have more stuff, diversify, maximize your assets. Some of the advice you hear even on this show about kind of, maximizing the assets that you have. Maybe you're feeling some of that frustration. And maybe you constantly feel like you need to change things. Maybe that's kind of stemming from not really trusting the process, maybe being in more of an a phase of being impatient with the process. So because it's not yielding the results that you think it should immediately, you're just going to change everything thinking that will be the solution. Is just changing your system as opposed to just writing it out and seeing and giving it some time to grow. But those might be some of the key symptoms that if you were to self-diagnose as I'm talking and you're like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Then you would be considered in the rookies. And so, Travis, talk to us about some of the defining traits of the rookies and what that looks like.
Sure. So, first of all, I just want to go back to the list. The number of listings really, you might be in that 10 to 100.
Yeah.
You could have 500 listings and still be a rookie.
Right.
I mean, those are just kind of ideas. So just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, defining traits, you're probably, if you're in this kind of personality type, or in this category, you're likely only selling on one channel. Typically, it's either merch by Amazon or Amazon Merch on Demand, as they now call it, or Etsy. You might have started on Redbubble, maybe as you were waiting for your Amazon Merch on Demand account to get approved.
Yeah.
So, but typically this person is only selling on one channel. Unless, like I say, they're waiting till they get approved and they jump on another one and then they get approved on another one. You may or may not have generated your first few sales, but you're barely breaking even because you've purchased a few tools. And, I mean, that's probably smart. I mean, everyone says, oh, it's the easiest business because the product doesn't exist until it sells. So you don't have to have inventory. You don't have to invest money in inventory. You're right. You don't have to invest money in inventory, but it's probably smart to invest some money in some other things like tools. So you have a better chance of knowing what to actually sell and maybe how to keyword it, et cetera, et cetera. You probably at this point, you have little organization. You don't really have much of a strategy for how your designs are named or how you're storing them or how you're using that information in your SKUs, how you're creating SKUs, how you're keeping track of everything. There's little organization. You're still refining your process of how to research, design, how to upload, how to market, how to do all of those things. You haven't really landed. You have a basic idea of it, but you're still refining that process. And then, maybe at this point, you're probably still working on this infrequently, like a side hobby. You don't have dedicated hours, it's not your full-time thing. So you're having to kind of get to it when you can. And my guess is that you're frustrated with that. You'd like to be able to dedicate more time, or you feel guilty about knowing that you should be putting more time into it, and you just don't want to because you are frustrated with all the things that Josiah was saying. You're frustrated. You're not as patient. You're frustrated with the slow growth, and you just can't figure out why it's not working. And then, of course, since this is kind of a side hobby, you're likely doing all the work yourself. You don't have anybody helping you do the designs or the uploading or the customer service or any of that stuff. So, and every time you sit down at the computer, all of those things kind of hit you like a ton of bricks because you're like, oh, I got to go through all this stuff. And, you know the feeling, right? I mean, it's kind of like you just started a business or something.
Yeah. Something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's a common thing. And, number 3 on the list would be the seasoned. So it would be, established sellers that are finding some consistency, right? So you look at some key symptoms of the seasoned would be you have between 250 to 1,000 active print-on-demand listings. Again, like Travis said, these are just some ranges. You could have 2,000. You could have really the number of listings, I guess, wouldn't necessarily be as indicative as the other symptoms are. These are just general, some guesses as to the number that you might have. But you find yourself, you're making money and you're wanting to make more of it, which is why you listened to last week's episode, which is why you're here, because you got hooked. But you're wanting to make more money. And maybe you've created some SOPs, but you see some opportunities for improvement. SOP, for those that are listening that might not know, standard operating procedure, where you kind of detail and outline the things that you do on a day-to-day basis that you would want someone to be able then to come in and maybe take over that job, or just having it documented, the processes that you're into, whether that's a production process, whether that's an order fulfillment process, whatever that is, having that documented. So you have some of those, but you realize, yeah, there might be some room for improvement on these, or maybe I need to refine them. But maybe you're in a space where, because you have that consistency and you're having some success, maybe you're not committing to refining them, because refining them can be an arduous process to kind of pick apart some things that seem to be doing okay at the moment. But so Travis, talk to us about some defining traits of the seasoned.
Sure. So you're seeing regular monthly sales, which is awesome. And I mean, you can kind of count on having sales every month of anywhere between, it's a wide range, but like maybe $250 worth of sales all the way up to $2,500 worth of sales, but you kind of know where, or that you're going to see sales because you have enough listings and they're quality enough that they've gained some traction. And you were patient enough to wait for that, and so now you're seeing some of the fruits of your labor coming through. You've probably got your production process mastered, and that could be if you're doing your products in-house. You've figured out where you're housing those print files and how how it gets to the printer, and then how you manufacture it, and then how you actually ship it, and all of those things. Or if you're outsourcing it, exactly where that process, you've refined that process enough for you to know how it's getting from point A to point B and finally into the customer's hands. You've established your SKU structure. When I do a t-shirt, this is what the SKU is going to basically be and contain. I'm going to be able to look at a SKU and I'm going to be able to know what that thing is. Yeah. I might not know exactly what design it is just by looking at the SKU, but I know what color it is, what size it is, what it is. Maybe even I enter in when I listed that for the first time. So I have a date, I mean, there's some things that you've established in there. And then you've established a really good file storage system. So all of the design assets for a particular product are in the same place, or all of the, and it's in the same place for all of the products that you have that design on. And so you can utilize that storage system to be able to create, flat files and don't want to get into all the craziness of spreadsheets in this podcast, but you've established the system so you can scale with spreadsheets as you continue to grow with your designs and your products. You are currently probably, if you're in this personality type or in this category of the seasoned, you're probably looking at expanding to other sales channels if you haven't already. You've realized that, okay, if I can do it on Etsy, I can do it on Amazon, or I can do it on Walmart, or I can do it on eBay, or I can do it on Shopify, Right. You're probably spending at least 10 hours a week or more growing the business, and you figured out how to fit that into whatever else you have going on in your life. And so it's kind of settled. You've settled on an amount of work per week on this, and it has fit into your life one way or the other. And then you may have hired your first virtual assistant already, or you're thinking about it. You're right in that area. And that virtual assistant could be doing, ton of different things. But the fact is that you identified a pain point for you. You only had 10 hours a week. And so this person can help you kind of fill in the gaps in your business. So does that sound like you? Are you the seasoned? Well, let's move on to number 4. Yeah. What do you say?
Are you or someone identifying with the things that have been said in this podcast? Number 4, the thriving, succeeding sellers seeing substantial success. Some of the key symptoms. It's where everyone wants to be, is the thriving. So some key symptoms for those that would be identified in the thriving: over 1,000 live listings, selling on several channels. So, Amazon, Etsy, Walmart, Redbubble, whatever that looks like, maybe even merch on demand still as well. And you've surpassed $2,500 in monthly revenue that, like Travis said, in the last kind of personality, it's guaranteed, you can count on the income, and it's typically above that $2,500 mark. So that is, 3 of the key symptoms. Everything just seems to be firing on all cylinders. So Travis, defining traits of someone that is thriving, what does that look like? Like, for those listening that are like, am I thriving? I feel like they would know, but what are some defining traits of those in that group of people?
You've got a well-oiled business process, so it works. You have all those SOPs. You've got all that stuff. It's all documented. If someone, you have at least one employee or contractor or virtual assistant, you probably have more than that, or potentially have more than that. I mean, you don't have to, but like I say, you've documented those SOPs. So if one of your VAs quits, you can fit someone in and have some minimal training because they can figure out the process based on these documented SOPs. And of course, you have a plan to strategically add new products every single week. And you have been doing that, and you continue to do that. And that's just part of your, the culture of your business, is that everyone knows, okay, this is really important for our business to continue to move forward. We have to list new products, and here's how we do it. And you have a well-oiled process for doing that. And at this point, you're probably focusing on this business full-time, or at least close to full-time, because you have that monthly revenue that allows you to, that can replace some, if not all, of your income, depending on where you're at, how much thriving you're doing. But you're probably at least spending 30 hours a week, 25, 30 hours a week, if not more. And you're working in your business and not necessarily, you're working on your business, not necessarily in your business. That's why you have the contractors and the virtual assistants to do the things, so you can be thinking higher, higher level tasks, perhaps maybe new things that you want to continue to do. And we'll talk again, now that we've gone through the 4 personality types, or the 4 categories of sellers. We're going to talk about how each of these types can begin to move forward to the next category, if that makes sense. So if you are the curious, well, what do you need to do in order to move to, the rookies? So let's jump in there, and let's start giving some hope.
Some next steps. All right, for the group number 1, the curious, here's the first next step, and I need you to listen. And if you're watching on video, look at me. Okay. Stop learning, start doing. A little harsh, but you need to know that. You need to understand, right? It's like you're POD information obese. You've just amassed all of this information, and you're not doing anything of it. You're just gaining the weight and knowledge, and it's all head knowledge, and there's no actual outworking or practical steps being taken. And just, you have to get that exercise in. You have to start doing something. We've said in a dozen episodes, the worst action is inaction, and that is the same key now. So the first step for you, those that are the curious, stop learning and start doing. Second step is get your house in order, right? Print on demand 101. We did some episodes. We'll try and look up what numbers they are, so we can maybe link it in the description. But, in that first episode of that series, we talked about what you need to do. Business checking account, registering with the state, registering for a sales tax license. So you don't have to pay tax since you're a reseller. Getting all of that stuff in order is going to help you, immensely in what is coming next for your business. And that episode, by the way, if you're listening and you want to go check out that episode, it's episode 92 is the one that we hit in the beginning of that series. So Travis, what else, in terms of next steps, what would be next for them?
Yeah. just a little bit more on that episode, the 101 series. It starts at 92 and then it goes 93 and then it kind of jumps, I think. But if you are interested in all 5 of those episodes, they're right there on the front page of our website at printondemandcast.com. You can go there and you can kind of see those. It's a 5-episode arc that really helps kind of break down what are the steps to start a business. So I think for the curious, that is an excellent next step. But the next one that we have written down here is to, get serious and create a strategy for your first month of business. And by that strategy, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be a little messy, but the thing that you need to remember that you have to have with print on demand is listings. Otherwise, no one can find your products and no one can buy anything from you. So how many listings do you want to launch with at the end by the first month? So,
right.
So you're going to work on this thing for a month and then you're going to launch with how many listings? So it's recommended that you launch with as many as possible, but that has to be your decision. So what do you want to start with? Because we're going to work, and then we're going to go, you need to be browsing marketplaces for niche trends and ideas for those listings. And then you need to design all the mock-ups for the listings, have it all ready, have all the descriptions written. And you can do this with templatizing it, it can basically be most of the same things, except maybe you change a few things for SEO. And obviously the title is going to be different. The mock-ups are going to be, everything is ready. And then you upload all your listings in a marathon session. Because particularly on Etsy, you do get a new seller bump or a new listing bump. And so that's how I would do it. I would not just do, I'm going to put up a listing and then, I'm going to put up another couple listings tomorrow. And then 3 or 4 days go by and you don't put any up. And then you go, oh crap, I got to do 5 now. And then, and by the end of 2 weeks, you have 10 listings, but they were put up, in 4 different days across 14 days. Let's put, 50 up on the same day and go. And then tomorrow, you're going to start working on some more, and you want to continue that process of batch creating and launching these listings. So that's what I would do, because that basically gets you, online actually selling things. And there's a strategy behind it. You can get all of the details and all of the extra stuff after you actually launch. Yeah. Let's get you launched. Let's get you moving. Let's get you moving forward. And then you, by definition, become a rookie.
That's right. That's right. So for the rookie, here's some next steps for you. Establish a solid strategy for social media. Which channels are you going to go all in on? A lot of that has to do with, I think, who you think your demographic is, what your niche is. You might have more success in one niche on TikTok, fresh breath, TikTok rather than Facebook. So what are you going to go all in on? I can tell you, when I did What For Apparel, I did some TikToks just for showing production, promoting merch, promoting the ability to do merch, and got a lot of interest on that platform because of influencers who wanted to work with us. So, or who are intrigued by the idea. So decide what you're going to go all in on, and then use a posting calendar. So you know exactly what you're going to post on those channels, when you're going to post it. Is it going to be, you always say you don't want to be salesy all of the time. You want some, different stuff in there. But you can use platforms like Later, Buffer, Meta Business Suite, depending on, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, so I'm just intermittently coughing uncontrollably. So,
been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly. So you can use those platforms like Later, Buffer, Meta Business Suite to schedule out. You can actually have a calendar that you can just start in mass, just making content and scheduling it out. So you have all those things that are going to drop, kind of a set it and forget it scenario. It takes a little bit of work up front, obviously, but it's well worth it. Expanding from your original niche into related design spaces, listing products that can be personalized. We talked about that last week, personalization is huge. So explore that, what you can do to make that a possibility with the products you are offering.
Mhm.
So to Travis's point, you're always going to want new listings. Like establish a
Yeah.
quota for what that is. Is it 10 to 25 a week? How many are personalized? How many are static? But you're going to want to plan that out. And so you have a plan of attack, knowing going into every month what you're going to need.
You poor
so,
guy.
I know I'm going to hand it over to Travis real quick so I can cough my brains out.
Yeah. So when you're trying to figure out how many listings you want to do per week, use our design calendar, our free design calendar. You can get you can go give us your email on our website at printondemandcast.com, and you'll get access to the annual design calendar, which will help you kind of know when you should be researching, when you should be actually listing that thing, and then when the actual date of the holiday or the season or whatever it's talking about is there. And so you can just kind of have a strategy for getting out in front of these designs. So the next thing that you can do to continue to move towards the next category is to begin uploading listings to a second marketplace at this point. If you're doing really well on Etsy, maybe it's time to look at Amazon, or maybe it's time to go through the pain of listing on Walmart, or creating, maybe thinking about a Shopify. I mean, that's still, I would put that in the next category, but something you're going to want to take these assets and put them on other places. It makes sense. And then you're just learning about how to improve your listing presentation. You are, see, the cool thing about actually being in the game is that all of the things you hear, you can actually test it on something. When you're when you haven't started yet, when you're still kind of on the fence about starting, you have all this information and you have nowhere, to your point, you're blown up, you're just, you have so much in you that you have nowhere to go to put it. But when you have an actual listing, or a catalog of listings, those things that you hear about new tools or new strategies to do better mock-ups or to improve your SEO and your titles and your description, you can actually go implement those things now. So the learning is actually helping you as opposed to constipating you.
Yeah, exactly.
and so the whole process here is to really begin learning SEO, trying things out, seeing what's working, trying different keywords, trying to optimize things, better systems, better processes. All of those things can happen because you're actually in the game. But just don't always work on something that will move your business forward versus something that is fun or do you know what I mean? Like make sure you 10 to 25 listings per week. That's what you need to get that. Then use your other time to kind of do some of these other things that we've been talking about. Yeah.
So the next group was the seasoned. So here's some next steps for those of you that are well seasoned, like a nice steak. Set a goal for 50 to 100 additional listings per week. If at this point, you've probably got a system in place where you've been able to add those listings, and so let's up that number. Let's go from 10 to 25 to 50 to 100, but let's, get more content out there. Dial in your customer journey. Email marketing strategies are huge. Figuring out how to reach out to the customer, have them leave you reviews or, leave testimonials about your product, whatever that looks like. Figure that out. What's that journey look like when you're first capturing your customer go to your store? Do they purchase it? Till after they purchase it, then you follow up with them. That entire journey. What does that look like for your customer? Double down on social media. Social media content is huge. You can never post too much. Quite honestly, when you're beginning, you want to defeat the algorithm or kind of get on top of it. You just need posts going out, whether it's a mixture of videos, static images, clips, production, whatever that is. Another thing you can do is have people share a review on social media. Get on their Instagram story, tag your shop, tag your business, talk about how good that quality is in their hands. So that's not just a commercial where you're pitching your stuff. it's a testimonial where someone who purchased something is having a real life experience with the end product that you produced, which is huge. You don't want to be a commercial. It's not a lot of fun to go to a feed that's literally just someone trying to sell you a product. It's very MLM. It's very, Amway or whatever. It's just like, okay, I get it. You make shirts. That's fantastic. I'm turned off by post 2 because that's all you're talking about. So you want it to be a good mix, some BTS content, behind the scenes, tips and tricks, design tricks. I know RJ does a great job with that too. His channel isn't a commercial. His channel is a very informational, but then you also have some stuff where he's showing some shirts that he's selling and so on and so forth, that you're going to want to double down on whatever that social media strategy is.
Right.
You can automate or hire for the manual tasks, for the stuff you find yourself doing repetitively that maybe you can offload at this point. Freelance graphic designers to increase design output. I know Travis and I, we've talked about using VAs as graphic designers and just sending batches to them and having them produce and get the content going. Customer service templates. Travis talked about that as well. When you have a response, and actually, you know what? There's something, if you're using Gmail, and this just came to my mind, it's called Briskine, Briskine. Okay. So what I use it for my day job, and it integrates with Gmail, and I can create templates with whatever it is that I'm doing. Cause I send a lot of repetitive stuff, whether it's welcome to the team or let's schedule your interview or you didn't show up for training, whatever that looks like. So I can make all these templates, have a keyword in there. And then when I'm in Gmail, I just type the keyword, hit the tab key, and it autofills everything for me. And then I can go in and fill in the blanks if I need to. And you can set who's going to CC. Is it going to blind carbon copy? So check out that Chrome plugin. It's a cheap plug that I literally just thought of because I use it all the time when it comes to template emails. And maybe I'll do like a video just kind of walking you through how it works and throw it up on a YouTube story or something, or short. But customer templates are huge for customer service. Saves you a lot of time instead of manually tapping out those repetitive things. VAs to create print files for personalized orders, and then VAs to create new listings as well as another way that you can take those manual tasks off of your plate, and then they're happening even while you're sleeping, right? Because of time difference. You're literally doing things to advance the business, but you're not having to do it. You're being able to work on other components of the business. So
yeah,
Travis, what other next steps?
You got to cough again. Yeah, I think, I think, as you can, once you're here, your goal is to obviously increase to adding additional listings. And so you're going to need help. You're going to need virtual assistants and other people to help you create these new listings, create these print files when personalized orders come in, all of those things. So you don't have to work in your business. You can work on your business. So you can start looking to expand to even more sales channels. Now would be the time when I would seriously look at, a Shopify store. If you're not on Walmart, eBay, or Amazon, or Etsy yet, get on those platforms, and spend some time learning about those platforms and what you need to do to be able to train someone to create listings on those platforms so you don't have to, and you can continue to work on your business. Another thing that we didn't actually write down here that I would definitely recommend for this particular category of seller would be to begin looking for new products to put your existing designs on. There are different companies, you don't just have to go through Printify or Printful. There are a lot of companies out there that have some really unique products. It may be a different process than what you're used to with your current drop shipper or whoever's doing your fulfillment for you. But that's why you outsource these other things that are happening every single day, the same way all the time. Make the design, put it on the thing, make the mock-up, list it. Make the design, put it on the thing, make the mock-up, list it. I mean, those that can become really repetitive. So those are the things that you want to get into someone else's hands. You want to be focusing on these bigger picture items at this point in your business.
Right.
And then strategically reinvest those revenues that are coming in into paid ads. So if you're on Etsy, you're probably already doing some Etsy ads, but you can start looking at how does it make sense to tweak those. If you're on Amazon, you can use Amazon sponsored products. Walmart has everybody's got ads. If you're doing Shopify, this is the time when you're going to want to begin learning Facebook ads. And Facebook ads maybe aren't as great as they used to be, but they still can work. And if you have unique products, you can target, in a unique enough way to really find who your customer is. You can not only market to them and sell them things, but you can also, build that email list, which you can remarket to them for free. You don't have to use ads to email somebody. So there's a lot of benefits to reinvesting into paid ads to even just build your email list to where you don't have to spend as much later marketing to them. So there's a lot of things that you could be doing right now. But I think the key thing is to put those SOPs into action through other people. Begin using other people's time so that you can continue to scale and build on your business.
And then the last group, the thriving, which of course, sorry, I didn't know my coughing was contagious virtually.
It is.
Here we are. Next steps for the thriving: automate and outsource as much as possible. Research some automation tools to accelerate growth. We talked about like bulk mockup generator. We've talked about that quite a few times. Hire specialty VAs, advertising, bookkeepers, marketing, whatever that looks like. You can hire those VAs, and they are out there and they are incredible at what they do. Mm-hmm. And so it's just another thing where you're just getting it off of your plate so you can actually start working on other components of the business that will help continue to grow. You can launch. My gosh, what is with me today? I don't even know where I am. You can launch or continue building a Shopify store. You can form strategic partnerships with brands and influencers, offer to produce merch or contract with them to make your merch. So there's lots of things that this is what you're working on now. Yeah, this is what you are now. You're working to expand the business in different ways while other people are kind of taking over the roles that you've established or the things that you've established. And because you have those SOPs, people are able to step in easily and kind of without noticing a hiccup or a hitch. It's a smooth transition while you're doing other things. Travis, expanding to EU, UK, Australian marketplaces. I know you've tried, you've been there, you've done that. All you got was a t-shirt. I don't know if you got it more than that, but yeah, talk a little bit about expanding to other markets like that.
Yeah. So, back when I was just, at one point I was selling in the EU and, there's VAT, which is like an enigma wrapped inside a riddle to me. I don't understand it. But it was like VAT to the end customer, but then also I had to pay it for certain, products when it went from this country to this country. It was very confusing. And I'm not sure what to do with my hand. Exactly. I was kind of lost a little bit, but I did really well when I was able to sell in those locations. It was just a matter of, I didn't feel like the revenue was quite as good because I didn't understand what I needed to do to avoid having to pay some of those taxes and some of those things that I don't know. So now obviously they've opened up Australia, Amazon, and I think there's Japan, Amazon. There's like Amazon all everywhere. Over the place. Yeah. And a lot of these companies that we're using to do print on demand have places overseas where they actually produce those things. Right. And so, they're not necessarily just shipping from the US all the time. So, I remember there was one company I was using that at the time they were using US, they were shipping from the US and it took forever to get to them. The shipping was surprisingly not a lot more expensive than it was here, but, it just took so long. A lot of customers would just get tired of waiting and then they'd ask Amazon to refund it. And of course, Amazon's going to say yes. And I'm out that product. And then they'd get it like 5 days later or something, because it finally arrived.
Right.
But if you could find some drop shippers that are actually have locations in those countries, and they're making it much easier to find them, they're announcing this, they're like advertising this because they know people are wanting to go worldwide. This is an excellent time for you to take that next step. While other people are working in your business, you get to work on it, and you can expand to these other marketplaces. Another thing that you'll want to do is set your listings per week goal to max out per channel. So what I mean by that, like Etsy, you have to pay for each of your listings, 20 cents, and then, et cetera, et cetera. On Amazon, you pay your $40 a month, and that's it. And you can list as many products as you want. However, they've recently kind of clamped down on what's called an ASIN creation limit. And an ASIN is basically a variation of a product on Amazon. So it could be like the black medium is an ASIN, and the black large is an ASIN. So if you just have a tote bag, that's one ASIN. Right. But the ASIN creation limit now, it seems like they're rolling that back to about 2,000 per week. But your goal should be to max that out every single week if you're selling on Amazon. Currently, I'm not aware of of a listing creation limit or a product creation limit on Walmart. They don't call them ASINs, of course. That's an Amazon thing. But so that one, heck, just learn how to list there and get your lag time, get your, exemption, get your GTIN exemption, and then just go to town and put as many things up as you can. But you should be trying to max out those channels with your listings. And then this is not the time. I say avoid shiny object syndrome, but at the same time, if it's a good idea, like expanding to another marketplace, that's not a shiny object. That's actually benefiting your business.
Shiny objects are like things that make you fundamentally almost reconsider your business model, or like adding a whole nother different kind of stream or a completely different, operation to your business. And those are the things like, wow, this is really cool. I would have to fundamentally shift everything, but it could work. So be sure you have devil's advocates in your life to bounce these ideas off of. Don't just go with your heart and what you think is or is not a shiny object. You need people. You need people to push back on those types of things for sure. And then, I think lastly, focus on work-life balance, which is huge. And really, work-life balance is important for every personality type in this conversation. You certainly, it might look a little different in each stage of the game, but there needs to be room for work-life balance, regardless of which personality type you're in. But it's huge to make sure that you have that balance. Yeah.
So I think, I think that's really it. I just wanted to kind of go over those 4, we call them personality types. They're really kind of categories, so you've got, and you're probably in one. You've probably heard us talk and you're probably like, yep, that's me. I know that's me. And so hopefully some of these next steps can help you kind of move towards that next category. And if you want help, moving to that next category, I'd love for you guys to shoot us an email at info@printondemandcast.com. That's kind of where we're moving towards, and helping people get from one personality type to another personality type, or category, whatever you want to call it. But so you might be the curious right now. You're still on the fence. You haven't launched anything. You're kind of overwhelmed. You're kind of in that place where you're feeling the FOMO, but you're kind of a perfectionist, and you're a little frustrated with how much there is to this. You didn't think it was going to be that much, but if that's you, hopefully some of the things that we encourage you with will help. And feel free to email us. Maybe you're a rookie, you're still got that slow growth. You're kind of frustrated. At least you started though, but you are feeling that pressure. Man, I got to get more listings if I want to see this thing really boom. and you still haven't really decided on how you're going to do the thing. You've got an idea, you've got some ideas, but you constantly feel like you're trying to change, or you want to change things because you're not sure if you're doing it right. Again, just, shoot us an email. The seasoned, hey, good job. You're getting consistent income, but you see there's still more opportunities for you. And that there are things in your business that need to change. You're wanting more money, which I don't blame you.
Yeah.
You can't quite maybe go part-time at your job, or you can't quite do this whole full-time, and that it's possible because you've seen the fruit, but you're not quite there yet. And then if you're thriving, and you're over that, you're actually able to get some sustainable income, but you feel like there are some things in your business that could improve, like new areas, kind of new frontiers. And you think there might be a few things that you could learn. Again, just shoot us an email, tell us where you're at, and we'll see if, there's something that we can do to help you move the needle and continue to thrive.
Absolutely. Again, like Travis said, if you guys are interested in moving from one step to the next, or having a conversation to maybe pinpoint which of these you are, maybe you're in limbo. I could be this, maybe I'm that. I mean, you could be a little bit, I don't know. But if you want someone to kind of talk to you and help you kind of identify the stage that you're in and help you get to the stage that's next, again, info@printondemancast.com is where you can reach out to Travis and I and initiate that conversation. And of course, we'd be happy to chat with you because we want to see you succeed. That's why we started this show 172 episodes ago, was to give people the tools to succeed in their business in whatever facet and stage that you're in. So that is, of course, our end goal. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Print on Demand cast. It's been a lot of fun kind of going through these personality types. It's almost like a DISC assessment. Am I a DI? Am I SD? What am I? So we can just do TC, TR, TS, and TT. Which are you? What quadrant do you fall in? I've always wanted to make one of those for ourselves, and now we've done it. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you have any questions, the best place to reach out to us is printondemancast.com/Facebook. Join the group, join the conversation, the community, answer the questions. You can be let in. People are getting better at that. I have noticed that as I've been letting people in the last week or so. But be sure to do that because it's comprised of a lot of different people with a lot of different experience and opinions and insights that maybe Travis and I don't have. And so you can get some good advice that maybe you won't find here on the show necessarily, but people helping other people. And that's kind of the goal of that Facebook group as well. printondemancast.com/Instagram is where you can go to find us on that particular social media platform as well. There are plans in the works in the next year or so as 2024 approaches into definitely utilizing Instagram more, doing lives, doing a lot more content on Instagram and on YouTube for that matter. Lots of possibilities, lots of things that we're kind of scratching the surface of and trying to get some new fresh content out to you guys on these platforms. So keep an eye out for that as well. And as Travis said, if you go to printondemancast.com, you can then subscribe to our newsletter, take advantage of our annual design calendar, which is super, super helpful. Just lets you know the things to keep in mind as you are progressing through the year, things that you should probably have in mind to design for ahead of time, and just kind of gets you ahead of the curve a little bit. Which is always a good thing when it comes to running a POD business, any business really, just being ahead of the curve. So as I said at the top of the show, wherever you're listening to this, please leave us a review like JMS Robbins did. It was super, super awesome to hear that feedback. So leave a 5-star review and a comment on Apple Podcasts, or just a 5-star review, of course, a star review on Spotify as well. But we're on all major podcast platforms, Spotify, Anchor, Google, Stitcher, all of them. We're there. So super, super thankful for you guys and for listening once again. Travis, anything else before we put a button on this or put a bow on it and take it home? Any of those idioms? Anything else from you?
I don't think we should put a button on it, but no, I don't have anything else. I think, if you guys want to explore, a little bit more about which category you're in your selling journey, reach out to us and we'd be happy to happy to chat with you. That's kind of our thing. So
that's what we do. We like
thanks
to talk.
for listening, guys.
Noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
All right.
true.
Well, for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you next time right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.
Hey there, Pod Pals. Are you a print-on-demand creator looking to stay ahead of the curve? You want to know exactly when to launch your designs for every key season and event? How about a chuckle with an extra dad joke to brighten your day? If you said yes to any of these, then it's time to join the Print on Demand Cast VIP list. As a VIP, you'll get our free annual design calendar, an amazing guide to help you time your creations perfectly throughout the year. And of course, we'll include a bonus dad joke each week as well. Signing up couldn't be easier. Just visit printondemandcast.com/VIP and enter your email. Don't let another day of potential pass you by. Become a part of the VIP list, grab your annual design calendar, and let's dive into a year of inspired creating together. We'll see you on the other side.